Welcome to Console Crapshoot, where we spin a wheel to play a random video game on original hardware. First, to answer the question you're probably thinking, yes, I am single, and no, I don't get it either. But we do have a ton of video game possibilities to play today. What's it gonna be? Oh wow, the PSP, the PlayStation Portable. Been a while since we played the PSP. 614 games on this wheel. What's it gonna be? Daxter. Oh, right, like from Jak and Daxter. That's good. That's a unique to the PSP game to play. Where to begin? First, I should probably say that I'm completely unfamiliar with the Jak and Daxter series. I know it's a big one to a lot of people. It's a mainstay kind of platforming series. What can I say? You can't play everything. It's just one I never got into. So as far as like series-specific knowledge, I'm going to be coming from a place of ignorance here. What I do know is that Jak and Daxter is normally a series where Daxter is like the sidekick. And what's cool about this one, if you're familiar with the games, if you played the games, is that Jak 2 on the PS2 opens up with Jak, the main character, being taken to prison, and then Daxter gets away, and then he busts him out of prison, but 2 years later, there's a huge 2-year time jump. This game actually tells the story of Daxter, where he was for those 2 years and how he broke Jak out of prison in the beginning of Jak 2. So if you're a fan of the series, that's really cool. Like, it fills a lot of story holes. It's not just like a portable version of the series, it actually lends something to the lore of the world. One thing that bothers me is the lack of the second analog stick for the camera. The last game we played on the PSP was Dissidia Duodecim Final Fantasy, and with that game it was more of a fighting game, so it was auto locked on to your enemy and you didn't necessarily need that camera stick. But this is a platformer and a camera stick would be nice. The shoulder buttons just don't quite do the trick. It feels a little awkward. Also, I'm one of those people who are really sensitive to the dizzies. Sometimes really early 3D games give me nausea. I can only sit down and play them for maybe 30 minutes and then I get super dizzy. I have to put it down and I'll come back a couple hours later only to get dizzy again. This game definitely did that to me. But aside from that, this is a pretty solid platformer, I have to say. I think it's fairly fun. The graphics look nice. I mean, the PSP came out, it was kind of like, think of it as a less powerful PlayStation 2. Just like the later Sony handheld, the Vita was a less powerful PlayStation 3. These games were originally on UMDs. I think it was Universal Media Disc. Is that what it stood for? So they were like CD quality sound. The music in this game is really good. The voice acting sounds really good. Doesn't sound overly filtered or compressed. And the levels are surprisingly big. There is a little bit of graphical pop-in, you know, when things are in the distance and you get closer to them, they just pop right up. That's kind of annoying. It was more prevalent in the PS1 and definitely N64 kind of era. But this is an early 3D handheld. I can't be too tough on it. It looks really, really good. It's really nice that you can save anywhere at any time. I feel like that's a really important feature for a game like this that's portable. Not all PSP games at the time did that, and I think that's a big mistake as far as logical design for what the system is. There's these really fun minigame parts that are like parodies of movies. This is the Matrix Reloaded one. I didn't get footage of the other ones, but there's like Lord of the Rings ones and Indiana Jones ones. They're pretty fun and they change up the monotony of the game. You get a lot of different abilities as the game goes on with your different kinds of equipment. Sometimes it feels a little much to keep track of, but the game does a good job of pacing out when you get those abilities and how you get them. So yeah, this one was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. We should probably just get right to the rating for Daxter on the PSP. I looked up reviews for this game and most of them were written at the time of release, and they gave this game like high ratings, like 9s, 9.4s, and I was a little confused by that at first because I'm thinking, while it's very good, I don't put it that high, but you got to keep in mind that these ratings were written at the time that the PSP came out, and handheld systems before the PSP were the Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance was great, but it couldn't do nowhere near what this thing is doing. The PSP was a huge leap forward, and what you had, this game that you were playing in the palm of your hand, was pretty amazing. It was fairly close to what people were playing on home consoles at the time. Not quite there, but close enough. So in that context, you can understand the really high scores. But the flaws are definitely much more prevalent in the rearview mirror, so to speak. I'm going to give Daxter a 3 out of 5, and I'm going to say it's a really high 3 out of 5. It's a really good game. It's a solid game. I wouldn't go out of your way to play this one unless you're a big Jak and Daxter fan. If you were into those games when you were younger, if you always liked that series, you should play this one, and actually you don't even need a PSP to do it. You can can play this if you have PlayStation Plus. You can play this on a PS5. So speaking as a non-fan of the series, and in the future where I'm not that impressed by the hardware, it's still a really good game. Very cool. If I would have had this at the time, I definitely would have enjoyed playing it on the subway or on a plane. But what do you guys think? Am I way off? Did you have this game? Did you love this series? I know a lot of people did, and this is just one that I missed. I missed actually a lot of this era's platformers. Ratchet and Clank as well. Didn't really get into it, and I know they're great. But that was good. That's 2 episodes in a row now where we haven't run into adult material. So we're on a new streak. This is fantastic. But we'll see what happens next week. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you then.